What if some of the problems architects are trying to solve today were already being solved in India more than 1,000 years ago? Before air conditioning, there were buildings designed around shade, airflow, and thermal mass. Before modern water infrastructure, there were stepwells. And before parametric design, Indian architects were working with complex proportions, geometry, and modular systems. This wasn't primitive architecture. It was architecture built around climate, culture, materials, and human life. For thousands of years, India's architecture evolved across radically different climates, from the deserts of Rajasthan to the monsoon-soaked south. And instead of using one universal formula, builders adapted. That adaptability is perhaps the greatest secret of traditional Indian architecture. Take the traditional courtyard house. At first glance, it seems simple. Rooms arranged around an open central space, but that courtyard could become a natural environmental system. During the day, shaded walls and the surrounding mass helped reduce heat gain. At night, the open courtyard could release accumulated heat and allow air to circulate. The building wasn't fighting the climate, it was working with it. Then, there were stepwells. Structures like Rani Ki Vav in Gujarat descended deep underground through a sequence of steps and pillared spaces. Rani Ki Vav was approximately 64 meters long, 20 meters wide, and about 27 meters deep, with its architecture leading down toward the water. But stepwells were more than water storage structures. Their underground spaces created a radically different environment from the surface, and the architecture transformed essential infrastructure into civic and cultural spaces. Then came India's temples. From the early experiments at places such as Aihole to the monumental Chola temples of South India, Indian temple architecture developed through centuries of experimentation. Aihole alone contains an extraordinary variety of early temple forms, including flat-roofed, apsidal, and northern-style towered structures. And by the time the Brihadisvara temple was built at Thanjavur in 1010 CE, architecture had become an extraordinarily sophisticated synthesis of structure, proportion, sculpture, ritual, and urban life. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Indian architecture wasn't only being learned through buildings, it was being systematized through texts. Treatises such as the Maimatam discussed subjects ranging from site selection and orientation to dimensions, materials, houses, towns, and temples. In other words, architecture was being treated as a complete system of knowledge. And this is where the phrase "centuries ahead" needs a little caution. Ancient Indian buildings weren't secretly using modern technology. They didn't have computers, mechanical air conditioning, or contemporary structural engineering. Their genius was different. They understood that architecture could respond to place. Materials were local. Forms responded to climate. Spaces reflected social life. Water systems were integrated into settlements. Religious architecture became inseparable from art, engineering, and culture. And this wasn't one single Indian style. It was a constantly evolving collection of regional traditions shaped by geography, technology, religion, and society. The diversity of Indian temple architecture alone spans numerous regional and dynastic traditions. Today, architecture is rediscovering many of these ideas. Passive cooling, climate-responsive design, water harvesting, courtyard planning, local materials, human-scale public spaces. The difference is that we now have computers and advanced simulation tools to analyze what traditional builders often learn through generations of observation and practice. So perhaps the lesson isn't that ancient India had all the answers. It is that architecture doesn't become intelligent simply because it becomes technologically advanced. Sometimes intelligence means understanding your environment so well that the building doesn't need to fight it. Indian traditional architecture wasn't centuries ahead because it looked futuristic. It was ahead because it understood something we are still trying to remember. A great building doesn't conquer its environment, it belongs to it.